Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today's video is about my childhood cancer, and this is where my journey really began. Before I proceed with the video, I would like to request everyone watching this video to kindly understand that there are over 200 types of cancer which can cause different kinds of signs and symptoms. Even if two individuals have the same kind of cancer, they will have a unique combination of genetic changes. So their cancer's behavior or reaction to treatment will vary from person to person, and also the cancer treatment is tailored for each patient according to their medical needs and requirements and also limitations. So please do not go to Google or me for medical advice. If you think there's something wrong, then you should definitely go see a doctor. I'm only trying to share my experience here and tell you what my parents did that saved my life, or my mother's instincts and her paying close attention to my physical changes that eventually led to my early diagnosis. I would also like to say that sometimes a child's cry for help is often mistaken with them trying to be dramatic or seeking for attention. So parents and guardians, do pay attention and listen to your child, and do not dismiss them just because they're kids. Okay, coming back to my video, it was around December 2004. I had just been promoted to 5th standard. I was 10 years old. I was really excited to go to a high school. I felt like a big girl, so we had already bought books and everything. We were just waiting for schools to reopen, so which would be around the month of Feb, and I was really excited about it. And so one day I started having a lot of pain in my leg, and I told my parents. At first they thought maybe it's because of the weather. So I am from Meghalaya, Shillong, so winters can get really cold here, and it is pretty common here to blame it on the weather for various medical issues. That's the first thing that comes, like maybe it's because of the cold or the weather. So that's what they thought. But then the pain was unbearable. It was very localized in the sense, if this is my hip thigh area, so if the pain is here, it stayed there. It did not spread all over the place. It just stayed there. It was like someone was trying to drill something in my bone or something like that. It was very painful and just was there, and it would get really bad at night. It was already Christmas time and it was still very painful. Another thing that my mother noticed was that I was limping a lot. I was doing it unconsciously. I didn't know I was limping unless it was pointed out to me. At first my mother did think that I was being dramatic or limping on purpose to make things appear worse than they were. On her defense, I was a very dramatic child. I just had a younger sister who was 2 years old at that time, so I had all that middle child energy going on because I felt left out, I think so. So clearly that would have been her first thought, and I don't blame her for that. Anyway, so when she realized I was not limping on purpose, because I was limping even when I was playing or running around, and the pain did not subside, so she took me to a doctor. I was taken to a well-known hospital here and got an outpatient appointment with an orthopedic at that time. So this doctor gave me a few painkillers and had ordered for an x-ray only. The painkillers did work, but the pain was still there, and then I had to go back for my follow-up appointment. It was the 2nd of January 2005. I do remember the date very clearly because it was my birthday the next day, and I remember telling the doctor that. Now this doctor examined the x-ray and diagnosed me with bone tuberculosis and told my mother that I had to take 6 months of tuberculosis injections. Now thank God for my mother being ahead of her time since forever. If my parents had listened to the doctor, I wouldn't have been here talking to you. So my parents took me to another doctor for a second opinion. Let me just tell you that my mother was at her early 20s at this point, and she was smart enough to understand the importance of second opinion. So I learned from her that we should always go for a second opinion if it's a big medical situation. But with time we realized it the hard way that we should go for a second opinion even if we might think it is something small, but it really isn't. I will talk about it more in some other video. So we need to understand that doctors can make mistakes too, so always go for a second opinion. So this doctor had a private clinic. He had ordered for some other tests, and after evaluating everything, He knew something was really wrong, but he couldn't really say exactly. And also they found out the reason that I was limping was because my left leg was shorter than my right leg. I assume that it stopped growing because of the cancer. I don't have a proper medical reason for it because it is not written in any of my medical reports, so I'm just assuming that it stopped growing altogether. So this doctor had advised my parents to take me to some other hospital, a bigger hospital outside my hometown. This was 2005, so the medical facility in my hometown was very limited. It is still limited, I feel, to some extent. The reason that I was taken to Vellore, not any other state, is because my father had some heart issues and he was being treated there, and that really worked for him. So my mother said, if we are going to Vellore for your checkup, then why not take her along and get her checkup done as well. So my entire family goes to Vellore. We thought it would be a small vacation before school starts. We'll just go get my checkup done and everything and come back home. But little did we know that this is going to change everybody's lives. So the thought of cancer did not even cross anybody's mind because nobody in my family had cancer before me. After I was diagnosed, cancer flooded my family like it was nobody's business. It was just one after the other. It was a lot. I'm not really happy about it, but I am the first one in my family and I feel like I basically started it. So we go to Vellore. I get all the tests done, from MRIs to CT scans to blood works and everything else. Everything was pretty normal, so they thought it might be something benign. So then they decided to get a bone biopsy done. Now, since the day I did the bone biopsy, I was not allowed to step foot on the ground. I can safely say that was the last time I walked before my surgery, or that was the last time I walked without crutches. So yes, that was the day that everything changed for me. It is so weird that one day can change so much in your life. Now the biopsy reports come in and then we find out that I have high-grade osteosarcoma. There is a huge difference between grade and stage in cancer. So not being from a medical background, what I understood is grade is how fast your cancer cells are growing or multiplying, and stage is how far your cancer has already grown to or how big your cancer is. So osteosarcoma is basically a bone cancer that usually happens in the long bones that make up the arms and the legs, and it also usually happens to children, teens or young adults. So I got it in my left leg in the upper thigh region around my hip bone, and at that time it was very rare. It is still rare now, but at that time it was very rare. So yes, this is how we find out that I had high-grade osteosarcoma. So in the next video we'll talk about my treatment, everything from my chemotherapy to my surgery. So do subscribe to my channel and join me on this journey. Let's empower each other to overcome any obstacles and live our best lives while we can. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.